and welcome to the Basketball Show. I'm your host, Paul Sir. I'm here with Ryan Reed. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning, Paul. How are you doing?
Doing okay, thank you. Another beautiful summer day. You know, it's really great, Ryan, because we're in the throes of summer now, and when you wake up and you walk outside, it just feels like summer. The air is a bit heavier. The sky's so nice and blue. It just feels so great. So both weeks of summer are really nice in this
I
city.
always say I'd rather my car be slightly warm than slightly cold, or even extremes. I'd rather too hot than too cold. So I'm happy. When I go into my car, I have to put the AC on for like a couple minutes. I'm okay with that.
I'm with you on that. There is nothing nicer than a nice, warm, welcoming summer day, and we're certainly experiencing that right now. I hope everybody listening is doing well. We have a great show today. It's a little bit different, but I'm really excited about it. At 10:20, we welcome in the Executive Director of the Alberta Basketball Association, Dave Drabiuk, and Dave is going to tell us about ABA's 50th anniversary. And there are some special things going on centered around that are really great for the sport of basketball in the province under ABA's leadership. So Dave joins us at 10:20. Ryan and I will talk about the upcoming Hoop City 3x3 event. I've got a lot of information to share with you about the event itself, some of the activations we're going to have on site over and above the actual on-court competition. But then I want to really dig into the teams that people will have the opportunity to see play here in Edmonton. We have got just a star-studded lineup of the best men's and women's teams in the world coming in, and the level of competition is going to be, I think, by far our best for both the women's series and the World Tour. So I'm excited to share that with you. But speaking of excited, at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock, we're going to welcome in three-time CEBL MVP Xavier Moon, who helped lead the Edmonton Stingers franchise to 2 CEBL championships. Xavier is going to come on, and we're going to do a deep dive. We're going to spend half an hour talking about, of course, the Edmonton Stingers and, of course, the CEBL, but about Xavier's interesting journey and he has really found his passion for Edmonton. And to have Xavier back in our midst a few weeks ago when Brody Clark was inducted into the Ring of Honor by the Stingers, Xavier was in town, and have him back was great. So we'll have a very interesting discussion with him. And so, and then Ryan and I are going to wrap things up. We've got a lot to talk about, and we're going to start, first of all, with 3 from Deep, which is presented by the 2025 Hoop City 3x3 Festival, July 31st to August 3rd in the Ice Palace. 3 FIBA 3x3 events, the largest FIBA 3x3 event in North America. Best teams in the world, including our great Canadian women and Olympic medal-winning teams on top of that. So, Ryan, first of all, we're going to talk about the Edmonton Stingers. And they had their 6th win in a row last night. But this is what was interesting about it, Ryan, is they won ugly. They did not play great. This was not a performance that they have been rattling off in their home stretch that they were just in, but they went out to a desperate Scarborough Shooting Stars team to face a desperate Scarborough Shooting Stars team and beat them 81-75. Now, the Stingers average over 90 points a game. And when you look at the numbers of the great Sean East, who's had, I think, an MVP caliber season, he's got to be one of the top 2 candidates if you had to vote today for MVP in the CEBL. 14 points. Scotty Lindsay had a dreadful shooting night. Keon Ambrose Hilton continues to play fantastic. I think he had 16
points.
16 and 9, 7 for 8 from the floor, 2 for 2 from the field, right?
Yep. And you have to win those dirty games, right? Like, not every game is going to be just smooth sailing, and you have to find ways to win these kind of games, especially when you want to compete for a championship. And you mentioned it, Sean didn't have an absolutely stellar game while still he's in the MVP race, but he didn't have a great game. 5 for 12 from the field, 14 points, as you mentioned. Hornsby had 16, and Scotty Lindsay, you mentioned, not a great night, 4 of 18 from the field with 9 points.
Hornsby had a phenomenal night. I think he had 17 and 14.
16 and 15.
16 and 15. Huge night for Nick Hornsby. And I can't speak highly enough of Nick Hornsby. He oftentimes gets called, as certain players do, the Swiss Army knife type of player that on a given night he's going to do a bunch of different things to help your team win. Last night he had to do more to help this team win, and he stepped up. Had a great night, 16 and 15. He always excels on getting other players involved. But here were a couple of stats, and that's what I think makes this win so impressive, Ryan, is if you could go to the stat sheet and talk about assists and turnovers. The Stingers had more turnovers by quite a bit.
18 turnovers and 8 assists.
18 to 8. Now, normally the Stingers are awfully good at sharing the basketball. And you know what? Assists are a deceptive statistic in and of themselves because that doesn't tell the tale of how many good shots you missed. But when you have Scotty Lindsay going 4 for 18, there were a lot of good shots in there that would have been assists had he knocked it down. So big night for Hornsby, big night for Ambrose Hilton. But also, as you pointed out, Ryan, you have to win the ugly ones to be a championship team because every night isn't smooth sailing. And believe me, the Stingers have been on such a roll at home. Extremely comfortable, extremely competent, absolutely rolling good teams to go out and win ugly on the road. That's another big step forward for this team. Chris
Smith struggled last game. What do you make of Chris Smith so far? And now we've had a decent sample size since he started playing.
I really like what Smith has brought to the team. I'll talk first off the court. He seems to really have gelled with the team off the court. So he has immersed himself. He has bought in. He's part of the team. He's enthusiastic for his teammates. And he has come in and either replaced Ambrose Hilton as the lone big, and sometimes Keon and Chris play side by side and has been effective as well. Whatever the reasons were, last night was a tough game offensively for this Stingers team. But the most important thing is there's one letter and one letter only that matters when it's all said and done, and that's the W.
Well, as you with Chris, you mentioned he wasn't great, 2 of 9 last night, but he does impact the team, and people like being around him, as you mentioned, too, gelling well with the team, and he's been elite, filling in for Keon Ambrose Hilton when he's needed.
He has been, and he gives a physical presence, too. He's a physical player. He can finish inside. He can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. A few times, sometimes misguided, but a few times he's taken it out on the fast break. And with some success. Oftentimes you're kind of holding your breath when Chris is getting up ahead of steam.
That's what people said about me too back in the day.
Well, they still say
don't dribble.
They still say it, but but anyway, Smith has been a great addition. Great win for the Stingers. They keep the momentum going. Hottest team in the league, nipping at the heels of both the Calgary Surge and the Vancouver Bandits. And both teams, they both won after they played in their most recent games. So they still maintain a bit of a lead over the Stingers, but the Stingers are nipping at their heels. And like I said, they're the hottest team in the CEBL.
Just a quick records check for you then with Edmonton nipping at the heels of Calgary. Edmonton is 16-10. Calgary's 15-10. So
no, those are incorrect.
Oh, I'm looking at games played. That's why.
Okay.
Edmonton's 10-6 in 16 games played.
Yeah.
And Calgary's 10-5 in 15 games played.
So they have that half game lead.
Yeah, and they have the winning percentage lead by half game. But then Vancouver's 12-4 in 16 games.
Yep. Vancouver continues to find ways to win. They had a tough win against Brampton last night, won by 4. I think, you know what? I think the Stingers can get them, to be honest. They have not played Vancouver yet. They will be playing them on the last game of this 4-game road swing that they're on during K days. So let's see what the Stingers can keep going. Let's talk about here's something I've been kind of fascinated with before we jump into the NBA Summer League for some discussion. But I've heard a lot of discussion about the return of the bigs to the NBA, that teams are once again getting bigger. When you think back to that absurd notion a few years ago, and let's face it, NBA is as trend affected as any sports league can be. When a team has success, a la the Golden State Warriors playing small ball, the talk was small ball, positionless basketball. The traditional big was kind of the dinosaur of the league. That's all changing now. And when you look at the Western Conference in general and what teams are doing in the off season, one of the things that's, I think, as important as any move that any team makes, it's what quality big men are you able to add into your rotation. When you look at the success of OKC with Holmgren and Hartenstein, I just love saying Hartenstein. Everybody loves that. You know, that people like myself who are not multilingual, you kind of feel like you're pretty cool when you say Hartenstein. Yeah. You don't say Hartenstein, you go Hartenstein. But his impact for a guy, you could lock him in a gym and he couldn't hit a three. I don't think. Well, I take that back. Actually, when he played in the G League, and he actually was a pretty good three-point shooter. He just doesn't have to shoot threes, which is a testament to his unselfishness in his role with the OKC Thunder. But you know, his main role is finish around the basket. Primary role is set great screens. One of the great, if not the best screener in the NBA. But that true big man impact on the game. Finish around the rim. Run the court hard, set good screens. And what has happened, Ryan, Denver goes out and gets bigger. Minnesota is getting bigger. And
Valanciunas is staying in Denver officially.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's got a contract, for gosh sakes. I mean,
being paid well.
Yeah. I don't have any pity on these guys if their egos get in the way of. When
he can go to Greece next year.
Yeah, exactly, and hopefully he comes with a great attitude, because the opportunity he has is to go and help make Denver a contender again. Like, I look at how much bigger Houston is. I mean, when you look at those four teams, they're monstrous. They are now monstrous. LA added Ayton. That's probably one of the least impressive additions, at least at this juncture. Has all the ability in the world. If he finds religion, he could be an impact player, but he's going to have to go through like a major revelation, because the guy's a dog.
It's kind of like an arms race for big men in the league. Like, once one guy gets a big guy, one team gets a big guy, another team's like, oh, we got to get a bigger guy. It's like the Cold War, just with big guys, though, and we're just running and getting them.
Kevin Garnett comes into the league out of high school, does really well. Everybody starts drafting high school players. Peja Stojakovic comes over from Serbia. No, he's not Serbian. Croatia. Comes over, does really well. A couple of other European players do really well. All of a sudden, there's a lot of drafts. That's just how...
He is Serbian.
Oh, okay.
Good, yeah. There you go.
There you go. But all... I mean, the NBA runs in packs. Like, if there's a trend. Now, however, this is an intelligent basketball adjustment, in my opinion. If teams are getting bigger, and if teams are seeing the merit, number one, of being bigger, number two, playing like bigs, back to the basket, pick and roll, rolling, running hard to the rim, and if they're looking at plugging up the middle, changing shots, these are all good trends. Add into that the success of Gilgeous-Alexander leading the way of a number of great mid-range players. All of a sudden, you're starting to see some equilibrium come back into the NBA. Traditional bigs, mid-range game important, and still having lots of opportunities to shoot the three. But the three only, three and layup only analytics-driven drivel is finally being put where it belongs, and that's in the garbage can.
Do you think it ever goes back to like the Ralph Sampson, Hakeem Olajuwon Twin Towers front court, where there's truly just two big guys that can't do a ton of outside stuff? And I guess Hakeem could guard a lot of people, so I guess it worked fine there. But do you think that ever happens? Or what extent?
Well, no, I don't think it will happen, because most of the bigs that are being drafted now can step out and shoot the three. That didn't happen back then. If Hakeem and
Hakeem could shoot
Samson
a little
played
bit from mid-range.
Oh yeah, no, Hakeem was nice 15 feet and in. Samson the same. And Samson in a lot of ways is like Wemby. Like he's not as athletic as Wemby was,
a tall man.
But he was
Ralph
he was a legit 7'4",
yeah.
and quite graceful and athletic. Like at that time in the mid '80s, he was a guy bringing the basketball up the court.
Who played more center, Ralph or Hakeem? Do you remember?
I would probably have been. Well, they kind of had double. It was kind of too low post.
Oh, too low.
Yeah, it was too low. And
see, no one's doing that nowadays. I don't think. No one's going to try to do too low or clog up the paint too much.
The game's too much. It's too different, and it's much better in that respect because you have, such an emphasis on 3-point play, and bigs now as they're coming up through their developmental stages are learning how to shoot facing the basket. So I think, but it's a great trend to see to me because it brings back some of the equilibrium that I think is so important in the game of basketball is value your size. There is a place for the back-to-basket game, and it's part of a much healthier and robust way to play basketball, and it was clearly demonstrated successfully by the OKC Thunder because they rolled everybody when you boil it all down, even though there were 7-game series. As a young team, the second youngest team in history, they rolled everybody playing with bigs and playing with a mid-range game. And certainly Gilgeous Alexander, I got to use the Hartenstein approach here. Gilgeous Alexander just had a historic run in the NBA Finals. So I think it is great for the game of basketball.
Shea it's one of those things where it's kind of the domino effects in setting the precedent. So with what Shea's been doing with the Thunder, it's just going to continue to happen. That roll game, as you mentioned, and having guys dive to the hoop consistently and often is you can see teams building up in the big, like the Rockets, for example. They brought in Clint Capella again. They re-signed Steven Adams, Dave Şengün. They're doing it's worked for them before. So let's try big guys, more big guys, and everyone's it's an arms race in the NBA right now for that kind of player and for that kind of style of offense.
Well, that's right. And when you look at Houston, we haven't even delved into Houston with adding Kevin Durant, long player, not a post player, but a long player, shooter. You've got big guys to back him up to set screens.
And Kevin can definitely play in the post.
He can play back to the basket, face up from anywhere, put the ball on the floor in any respect. So if he stays healthy, that's going to be a remarkable Western Conference this year. And what I think is very, very cool is to those of us out in the huddled masses, we look at this and go, oh, Oklahoma City, they're just going to run the table. This is a dynasty in the making for the next few years. Nobody's rolling over here. That's what's going to make the
injuries,
game better.
Right?
Oh,
injuries too, right? You just never really know. Look at the Celtics, for example.
Oh, yeah. The Celtics a year ago, this is what we were talking about the Celtics a year ago, is they were going to be rolling everybody for years to come.
The Thunder are younger, and I think people maybe think the Thunder are better set up than the Celtics were, but still, it's the same point. Like the Celtics were, instead of it being set up for, some people said the Thunder were set up for the next decade. Some people said the Celtics for 5 years. The point's still true. Both teams can suffer from injuries, and one of them already has.
The microcosm example of that is Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
Historic playoff. On his game in Game 7, had the look, had the feel, hit 3 threes, blows his Achilles out.
Playing on a strained calf, and that'll do it.
Yep. So you're right. Things can change in a heartbeat. You're only an injury away. Finally, I asked you to go to our friend chat, Mr. GPT. I'd like a quick summary of who's making the biggest impact in the NBA Summer League right now. Ryan.
Some quick hitters for you. Kobe Buffkin with the Hawks. He had 29 points, and 15 of those points came at the charity stripe in a win against the Heat. So Kobe Buffkin's had a couple years in the NBA, maybe starting to figure it out.
Yep.
Liam McNeely with the Hornets also came off the bench in a game, had 22 points and 12 rebounds. Kyle Filipowski with the Jazz had a summer league high so far of anybody with points, had 32 points, including 3 of 7 from beyond the arc. A.J. Lawson with the Raptors came off the bench, and he had 4 of 8. He was 4 of 8 from 3, including 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals, and almost a 40-point win. Ron Holland II with the Pistons had 28 points and 11 rebounds. And Reed Shepherd, who's going to be very key to the Rockets, we were just talking about that, had 28 points, including 13 of those points in the third quarter. And before that's just catching up to earlier last week with the Utah Summer League, the Salt Lake City Summer League. Bryce Sensabaugh with the Jazz had a record for the Salt Lake Summer League, and he was able to put up 37 points on 9 of 14 shooting, including 6 for 9 from 3-point range. Ace Bailey also has ruffled some feathers with some of the antics that his agent was doing with that with his whole draft process, and he did well. He's been playing okay. He had a rough start, but he had 18 points last time out in Salt Lake City. And last but not least, Cooper Flagg, 5 of 21 against the Lakers, and struggled mightily. But again, it's these are kind of just like fun to look at. It's like candy. I wouldn't look too much into it.
Oh no,
just enjoy it.
These are the old Kodak pictures. They're fading fast. Yeah. They really don't mean anything. Look up the guy from the Utah Jazz, though. You had mentioned him.
Bryce Sensabaugh?
Look him up because I want to talk about him later in the show. Okay. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to bring in the executive director of the Alberta Basketball Association, Dave Drabiuk. We're going to talk about ABA's 50th anniversary and some of the fun stuff that ABA is planning. You're listening to the Basketball Show with Paul and Ryan on this beautiful Saturday morning here on your sports leader, Sports 1440. Welcome back to the Basketball Show. Paul Sir, Ryan Reed with you this morning. Before we jump to our guest, Ryan, we neglected to give our listeners our poll this morning. Yeah,
we're asking who the highest pair in the NBA should be between Devin Booker, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, and
Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah, Gilgeous Alexander, because Devin Booker just got the 2-year, $72.5 years extension. So
yeah. Who
go vote on Sports 1440.
Who should be the highest paid player? Should it be Devin Booker, or should it be Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or our guy Shai Gilgeous Alexander? I'd like to welcome in the executive director of the Alberta Basketball Association, Dave Drabiuk. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, Paul. Thanks for having me on the show.
Great to have you on. Just a little bit of trivia. The fellow answering the phone is a former Augustana Viking recruited by you, Ryan Reed.
Ryan, I wondered when I saw the name, I'm like, I wonder if that's the same Ryan Reed. Awesome to connect with you again, man.
We will do that. He just heard you. So I believe you're over at the Saville Community Sports Center this morning, Dave. What's going on?
Yes, I am, Paul. We've got our Alberta Basketball 3x3 championship tournament going on this weekend. We've got 15U and 13U boys and girls divisions playing, and as you know, the sweet sound of basketball is a wonderful thing on a Saturday morning.
Well, the sweet sound of 3x3 basketball is just has a little bit of a nice. It has a little nicer tune to it. I love hearing that. So, well, I hope the event goes really, really well, Dave. So, Dave,
you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome, Dave. This is the 50th anniversary of the Alberta Basketball Association. Talk about what ABA is planning to do to celebrate this important anniversary.
Well, thank you. Yes, 50 years since the incorporation in 1975. As has been pointed out by a couple members of our committee, there were several organizations along the way that referred to themselves as variations of Alberta Basketball Association, but the official incorporation in 1975, so this is our 50th anniversary year. In September 6th, to be exact, we are going to be holding a gala, a celebration banquet to honor the past and celebrate what we hope is a very bright future with basketball in Alberta. It's a great chance for the community to come together and share some stories and just be together in a room and really relive some memories of basketball. Around that, we've got on the Friday night, we'll be doing a kind of a fireside, hot stove type panel discussion, just talking about memories and moments in Alberta basketball history. That's at our host hotel for the event, the Westin, and then Saturday will be the banquet at the Expo Center in in the hall that the Stingers play in. So we're setting it up to be a banquet with the basketball ambiance there. I was really hoping to be on here this morning saying, yeah, the ink is dry and we can announce the keynote speaker, but I'm unfortunately having to hold off for another day or so yet at their request before we can announce the keynote speaker for the event. But it'll be one that I'm excited about for sure, and I hope everyone else in the community will as well. The Saturday morning and the Sunday morning after the event, we will be running a free to the community basketball clinic, skills and drills clinic, on the Stingers floor at Expo Center. And we're really looking forward to just a big celebration of basketball around that weekend. Some people following our social media would have seen the call for nominations for our 50 Greatest Moments campaign, and we are in the middle of compiling those video segments that'll run in that 45 seconds to a minute long, celebrating 50 great moments in the history of basketball in Alberta, not necessarily Alberta basketball. As you can imagine, the 2015 win in the Saville Gymnasium of our senior women's national team, the 1983 Universiade Canada win over the USA are obviously moments that will be on that list, as well as obviously many, many more. So we've got that celebration coming in that form with the video. And the 50th anniversary has been the impetus for the organization to start a Alberta Basketball Hall of Fame. And we're calling it a Hall of Fame and Museum because we will house these 50 greatest moments clips and then hopefully be adding to that library, because we know there will be moments that are left off of the list, trying to keep it to 50. So we'll continue to expand that effort as well. And this will be the pebble in the pond, if you will, and one of the ripples will be the creation of the Hall of Fame and Museum piece that will be hosted virtually, at least for now. So a lot of exciting things to celebrate the 50 years of basketball in Alberta.
Well, it's great to hear about this, Dave. All the activities centered around this very, very significant anniversary. The word that you used on a number of occasions was celebration, and there is so much to celebrate, and both in terms of high profile, high impact moments, but also I think the gradual growth of the sport of basketball. I mean, over those 50 years, when you look at 1975 to 2025, and all of the changes in terms of participation, profile,
yes,
performance, there's just so much to be, to be celebrating. Dave, you're a long-time post-secondary coach prior to your moving into the executive director role. Talk about what you have seen in terms of the changes in the basketball world and culture in Alberta over your tenure.
And I'll go back to the early to mid 80s when I first got involved in coaching basketball. And knowing that at that time you had high school, junior high, high school, post-secondary, which was a much smaller landscape back then. And then there were provincial teams by Alberta Basketball, and there wasn't much else. There were some community leagues that were running basketball. There were some opportunities, scattered around the province. The massive growth of Calgary Minor Basketball Association, EYBA, Edmonton Youth Basketball, those things I think were glimmers in the eyes of people. Club basketball in this province, virtually non-existent, aside from a couple of brave pioneers that would gather some groups together and groups of kids together and say, hey, let's go on a bit of a tour, or let's do some basketball in the spring and summer. It really was a time of multi-sport athletes. You played basketball during a specific season, and then you went and played baseball, or you did, whatever you were going to do in the summer. And the idea that basketball has become a 12-month-a-year prospect is emblematic, I think, of the growth and the diversity of opportunities. Paul, you talked about, specifically this weekend, it's 3x3. We had the blacktop 3-on-3 events at the West Edmonton Mall parking lot, and we had those pieces that were trying to find their way around the game. Adult leagues were, a couple of divisions deep back then, and now all of a sudden, we've got 8-9 divisions worth of adults that are continuing to play the game. Multiple leagues, some of them based around, cultural communities that have started their own small adult leagues, or just in general the expansion. Edmonton Sport and Social Club plus the Edmonton Basketball Association, and just the same growth is going on in Calgary and in Red Deer and the Wood Buffalo, Fort McMurray region and Grand Prairie, and just watching it build from the ground up. Grassroots community basketball. It feels like every community now has a rec programmer that understands that basketball programming is fun and accessible, rather than one or two camps only running in the province. Everyone seems to be on the camp bandwagon right now, which is fantastic. I alluded earlier, post-secondary was a smaller landscape. When we first got started, Lakeland wasn't really there. Keano, Concordia, where you coached for years, Paul, wasn't an ACAC team. It was a team in a men's league back then. And then same with Kings up in Edmonton, Ambrose, St. Mary's, so many of these post-secondary institutions, and then McEwen and Mount Royal, who competed in the ACAC, moving on to youth sport. There's just been so much change and growth, but it's all started from the grassroots and the community level and working, and then pushing up. Well, as the population aged into junior high, we needed more junior high teams and more junior high leagues, and then high school sport has expanded, and then the population was there to expand post-secondary, and it's just been this wonderful growth all the way through, and now we're seeing it all the way up to our national team level with, if you had told me back in the 80s that we would have, first of all, what's the WNBA back in the 80s? But that we would have a WNBA draft pick come out of Alberta, that we would have members of our Olympic basketball teams, multiple teams out of Alberta. Probably would have looked at you a little bit funny at the time, because we didn't also have the media coverage. We didn't know about the toll strips if you grew up in a small town in northern Alberta, because the coverage wasn't hitting our local paper the way we have internet access now to be able to read about, the greats that came way before us, never mind the more recent success stories. So that's a very long-winded way of saying multifaceted growth that has just taken off over the last, 30 years that we're just really excited about.
It really has been gratifying to watch its evolution, its development, sometimes 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yes.
Uneven as all get out, with some edges to the 12-month-a-year participation in a sport, and sometimes what I think is perceived by people as the pressure that young people feel to play a particular sport, not just basketball, year-round, as opposed to being a multi-sport athlete and feeling like if you're not in the gym, somebody else is, and you're not going to be as good. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that goes along with that growth. But the bottom line is, as you just have described, Dave, is that the growth is positive. The growth continues. The Raptors winning the championship in 2019. Vince Carter having been here, those are seminal moments. Mm-hmm. Steve Nash MVP. Now, another big lift is Gilgeous Alexander. As you said, Yvonne Edgem from Calgary, after her phenomenal career at Gonzaga, drafted into the WNBA. I think we'll see her on a WNBA roster one day. But all of these things just continue to move the sport forward. And to hear that ABA is also taking this opportunity at the 50th year to celebrate what has happened and is happening is, I think, a great opportunity for reflection, regrouping, and a gathering together to continue a very healthy, positive push forward with the sport.
Well, thanks for saying that, Paul, because obviously I agree with you on that. So, yeah, we're really, I think those of us, and obviously, Paul, you are in this category, those of us that have seen the growth and have been part of it and had either a fingertip on it or a full hand on it, we have to take a moment to sit back and be happy and see what we've done and say, wow, there are some really special, really cool accomplishments here. And let's be grateful for the opportunity to be involved. Let's be grateful for the stories that we have and all of the parts of the journey. And then let's also use that to be just even more excited about what the next 50 years could bring us.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thanks for taking time out from your 3x3 event. I hope it goes really, really well. Hopefully, a lot of the people that are participating there will come down to the Hoop City event in later this month and have the opportunity to see Team Canada's women, Steve Sir playing in the Quest, local 3x3 folks that have done so much for the sport, and also to see the best teams in the world, Olympic champions, etc. So best of luck this weekend, Dave. A continued best of luck with all of the details that need to go into pulling this celebration together. And thanks for joining us today, Dave Drabiuk, Executive Director of the Alberta Basketball Association.
Thanks, Paul. Have a great day.
Yeah, it's exciting time to be reflecting on the growth of the game, and glad to see ABA taking such a lead role in making this happen. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, Ryan and I are going to talk some more about the Hoop City 3x3, as well as continue our discussion about the NBA Summer League here on your sports leader, Sports 1440. This is a basketball show. One of the great one-hit wonders, 1974 Golden Earrings, Radar Love. Welcoming us back to the basketball show, Sports 1440 this Saturday morning. Ryan Reed and myself. If you have any questions or comments on anything relating to basketball, NBA Summer League, our discussion about our poll question today, who should be the highest paid player, the move to more bigs, etc. Alberta basketball's 50th anniversary. Text us at 833-401-1440. Again, 833-401-1440. So, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming 2025 Hoop City 3x3. It's Basketball Festival is what we call it, and it is truly that. We're going to be down on the ice surface. We of course cover the ice surface up. We're going to be putting down our main court, building an arena around it. I have a practice court in it, and we have an exhibition area where we're going to have some great sponsors who are going to be there with activations for kids to play, for prizes. And there's some of our sponsors I'll be announcing over the next couple of weeks. And please go to our website at 3x3ba.ca for all of the information regarding the tournament. And in particular, go over the next couple of weeks as we lead up to the tournament, because we're going to have stories. We're going to have all kinds of photos that will be describing the event as we build up to this. And we have such great partners and supporters in the city of Edmonton. Explore Edmonton, our tourism arm in the city, the province of Alberta. We just fantastic support and partners from them. Sport Edmonton, Ashley Prasad and Reed Clark doing such a great job of supporting. But the list goes on and on and on. And I am working with an incredible team of people who are really rowing in the same direction to try to put on a world-class event, and we will be a world-class event. And we have a reputation globally as being one of the great stops on the World Tour and Women's Series events in the world. Add into that, we are the only FIBA 3x3 major event presenter in North America, not just Canada, but the U.S. as well. There is not another women's series in North America. There's not another world tour in North America. We are the standard bearer Dave Drabiuk, the current CEO of the Alberta Basketball Association, was on talking about being at their event today, and it's exciting to hear that event continues. I was the executive director from 2008 until a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. And when we were building up ABA, we had to work through some stuff to get to a certain point to get the organization solid, and we did. And then in 2010, when FIBA announced that FIBA 3x3 was actually going to become a sport with the goal and the vision of being an Olympic sport, we really dove in at ABA to be the leader in Canada for the development of FIBA 3x3. And we were. Starting in 2011, we started running what was called Canada Quest events, where the winner would go to a FIBA 3x3 event. And I remember on the first team, Mr. Jordan Baker, the current head coach of the Edmonton Stingers, along with others from Alberta, won that tournament and went down and competed in Miami in the first World Championship event and finished fourth. And that was all paid for by the Alberta Basketball Association. At that time, Canada Basketball was going through a real rough patch financially. And ABA, who was also in a similar circumstance as we were, like I said, working through some stuff, and we found a way to support that. And then we continued through 2019 to host the Canada Quest every year. And starting in 2018, we had our first ever FIBA 3x3 event at the Ice Palace here in West Edmonton Mall. It was a men's challenger. We weren't the first Canadian city to run an event, because Saskatoon actually ran events in 2016 and 2017 as well. But then we came in, and we have had the marathon approach here. 28, and in 2019, we also held another men's challenger and the first ever women's series event in North America, but it was the women's series world final in North America as well. So we had two events in 2019. Then, unfortunately, Ryan, in 2020, that awful COVID episode hit that disrupted all of our lives in so many ways. And of course, 3x3 was a victim of that just terrible time. So we had to take a hiatus from 2020 and 2021, and then came back 2022 with the women's series and a challenger again down at the Ice District Plaza. Moving over, bringing in the Magic Sky in 23 and 24 for the men's world tour and women's series as well. And now we're back in West Edmonton Mall this year, July 31st to August 3rd. Ryan, I had asked you to talk to our friend Chat about who the women's series participants are. Could you read some of the names?
Just some of them? Yeah, because there's quite a few, just a couple.
Yeah, we have 12 teams coming. I'll highlight a couple. Highlight a couple. Team Canada. Of course, I think anybody who's involved in the basketball world is familiar with Team Canada and 3x3, primarily because of the Plouffe twins, Michelle and Catherine, who have been just two of the top players in the world for many, many years. Michelle and Catherine were on the 2019 team that started off the women's series here in Edmonton. They are Olympians. Both of them are Olympians in 5-on-5 and 3x3, both playing in Paris in 2024. Of course, Paige Crozen, who had an outstanding, she's hails from Saskatchewan, lives and works now down in Lethbridge, along with Casey Bosch, a great Lethbridge high school player, went to Gonzaga, came back and finished her career at the University of Lethbridge. Outstanding player. But those four women, Casey, Paige, Catherine, Michelle, have been leaders in the world. They have won world titles. They continue to be a factor globally. Most recently at the World Cup, they finished fourth. They just continue to be powerhouses, and they'll be part of our women's series. But along with that, they've got some tough opponents. Germany, the gold medalists who beat the Canadians in Paris, will be here. The French women, a very, very good team. The 3XBA women's organization down in the States, who are doing an outstanding job of focusing exclusively on the development of women's 3x3 basketball. They'll be here with two teams. Team Canada basketball will be bringing also a Team Toronto, a second team. So we're starting to get some depth into the 3x3 world, which is exciting. But there are a lot of other very, very good teams. And if there was a weakness in the last couple of years at our 3x3 event, is that the field that we were able to get into Edmonton in the women's series was not as strong as we would have liked. But this year, that's very, very different. This is going to be a highly competitive, hotly contested women's series. And then on the men's side, my gosh.
I can give the Dominic a quick rundown of the teams for the men, so then you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Perfect. Just letting my mouse work here. All right. So Serbia.
Oob.
Yep, Oob. And then Amsterdam and Netherlands, Miami, USA. Some of these pronunciations are going to be tough, but I'll try.
Oh, no, yeah. Partizan.
Radon Veres from
yep.
Lithuania.
Yep.
And then Chongming from China.
Yep.
Partizan from Serbia. Ulaanbaatar from Mongolia.
Yes.
And then Carolina from Puerto Rico. And then Phoenix from USA. Caracas from Venezuela. Sint Maarten from Netherlands. And Washington, D.C. from USA.
I cannot stress how good that lineup is. Oob is
better than my pronunciation for sure.
Well, you did great. Oob from Serbia is a powerhouse. Every tournament that they lose, people are surprised because they are expected to win. They're fantastic. Now you jump over to Amsterdam. That's the gold medal winning team on the men's side. They are gold medalists. They're a fantastic team. They have one of the most dynamic players in the world. In fact, he was the 3x3 men's player of the year last year, Worthy Dion, worth the price of admission. And by the way, there is no price of admission. This is a free event at West Edmonton Mall. So Worthy Dion is worth the price of admission. The Serbian teams, the Eastern European teams, Eastern Europe still dominates the sport of 3x3. They are just tremendous 3x3 players that take it very, very seriously. You've got Team Miami, a powerhouse out of the U.S. The other two American teams are very, very good. Ulaanbaatar has, they're coached by Steve Sir, who has been a player with them for many years, is not playing with them this year, but will be coaching them. They're always a dark horse. They have won a challenger. They've won a world tour. They've won numerous quest events. They're always highly competitive. So the field is stacked, and I can't emphasize that enough. Now, I also want to touch on, though, we've got the elite events. This is like hosting Wimbledon. This is like the equivalent of Wimbledon. You've got the best players on the best teams here in Edmonton for this event. But our light quest, what that offers is an opportunity for teams who are not in the bloodstream of FIBA 3x3 internationally. They have the opportunity for the winner to go to a challenger in China in October. Now, we have teams coming in from the U.S. and all across Canada, and these teams are taking this very, very seriously. One of the players is going to be playing with a local Edmonton team, and that is Steve Sir, who has been the top-ranked 3x3 player from Canada since 2016, and only recently at his ripe old age, he's still the second highest ranked player in Canada, even though he's played very little this year. But he's going to be playing along with a very good Edmonton team, and they're going to be competing against a tough field. That gets going on Thursday, July 31st, 2 o'clock in the afternoon will be tip-off. We're going to go till about 8 o'clock that night. The next morning on Saturday, August 1st, the Quest will have its playoffs, quarters, semis, and finals. We'll have a bit of a little celebration afterwards. Then we'll have a welcome ceremony with local dignitaries at 3 o'clock, and then the women's series pool play kicks off at 4. Leading into Saturday morning, where we will be hosting the basketball show from the ice surface. And then after that at noon, we get going again with the men's pool play, followed by the women's playoffs with a very special celebration at 9 o'clock that night for a very special player. You'll definitely want to be there for that. And by the way, this is broadcast globally over the FIBA 3x3 network and on CBC Gem. So you always have access to this if you're not able to make it. And then on Sunday, starting at noon, we have the Men's World Tour playoffs, and that will wrap up with a 4:30 final that day. In amongst that, we have our long-range shootout. We also have our slam dunk competition where we fly in 3 of the top professional dunkers in the world. We have all kinds of on-court fan participation activation with great prizing that we'll share more about coming up. What a festival. What a great time. If you can make it down, it will be worth your while. We have an awesome venue that we're setting up on the ice surface. It's going to be so much fun for everybody, for kids of all ages, family friendly. Like I said, it is free of charge, and you will get to see some of the very, very finest. In fact, you will see the very, very finest 3x3 players in the world here competing in Edmonton, the home, the heart, the soul of North American FIBA 3x3 right here in West Edmonton Mall in your midst. So please make your plans. Come on down and enjoy yourself. Of course, West Edmonton Mall is always a hoot. And to have this celebration of 3x3 basketball in the West Edmonton Mall setting is going to be a fantastic weekend. So make your plans. The 31st of July through the 3rd of August, you're not going to want to be anywhere but at the 3x3 event. So we're going to take a break right now. Ryan and I are going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to be talking with a legend. We're going to be talking with a guy who probably, if one day, will have a statue erected when it comes to the CEBL. He is I still believe, the best player the CEBL has ever been able to say was a part of this league. And that, of course, is Xavier Moon. He's going to be with us when we return after these messages. You're listening to The Basketball Show on your sports leader, Sports 1440.
Hey everybody, it's Gene Principe, the Prince of Puns, and I've got something that definitely will float your boat. How would you like to join me and the superstars of hockey on an exotic holiday? Join us on a 7-night cruise through the Mexican Riviera, leaving from LA and including Cabo, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and more. While we relax and cruise the tropical waters and have some drinks with umbrellas in them, you could attend an intimate meet and greet with legends like Bill Ranford, Jason Strudwick,